Many people take astrology as a pastime, or something to talk about, like their solar sign and related personality, or how they behave because of their sign, and so on, but usually common knowledge stops there. This information is just scratching the surface of astrology. There is much more than that. Most people take astrology as a pseudoscience, or superstition, witchcraft or simple entertainment because they do not understand the principle and the mechanics on how it works. In ancient time, the ones that can predict an eclipse were wizards or witch doctors, while today NASA has the list of all eclipses that will happen in the future. Applying the reasoning from ancient time, NASA could be defined as an organization of wizards and magicians. The oldest astrological ephemerides known today are dated from 3000 BC from Sumerian clay tables. During millenniums and centuries these tables evolved to the ones known today. These tables, which contain all the information related to the movement of the planets in the solar system, are possible, because our universe and within it, our solar system, works in a predictable and orderly way. Everything functions in balance. We can find different cycles everywhere in the universe as well as within and around us. Regarding the universe, there are discrepancies from science's community where some support the theory that the universe is expanding constantly, and there is another group that supports the theory that our universe expands and contracts. Everything runs under the concept that, until certain pretending information in any theory has approval from the majority of the science community, the theory does not become official science, in the meantime still a theory. Getting back to astrology, since the beginning the purpose of astrology was to understand the correlation between the movement of the stars and certain personal or social events on Earth. Astrology was not for public consumption for millennia, and it was only limited just to the ruling class. It was classified information. Something similar happened with the weather prediction when it was classified information used only by the military until middle of the 20th century. With the advance in aerospace technology and satellites become available, this information passed to be accessible to the public, even in our days with a TV channel dedicated to weather. In relation to astrology, during some time it was accessible to the public, and at one point, the Catholic Church declared astrology and their practice heretic, not considering the fact that even some of the previous popes were declared astrologers. Considering that the Bible is full of predictions and people predicting what was going to happen, even predicting the end of the world as we know it, there is big contradiction there. The only explanation that we can find on why the Church sealed that information to the general public, was to limit the knowledge for self-development, by taking the Church full ownership of human development. It is valid to mention that this only happened to what we know today as Occident, at one point ruled by the Roman Empire and later in America by the so-called colonization. From the moment that astrology was declared heretic, astrology became marginalized, and in later years, following a well-designed pattern, it was made something for entertainment, with horoscopes printed daily in newspapers, promoting instant love, money or good health in any given day. Something distant from the truth to someone that knows astrology. There were astrologers and people consulting them, but it was not the common situation. Even if Carl Jung at one point of his successful career in psychiatry and psychoanalysis embraced astrology to understand some of the psyche's phenomena, some of his peers criticized this approach. Usually people reject what they do not understand or they do not know. Now we get to our present day, where we are in a new paradigm where it is hard to keep up with all new technology and related information released almost daily. Part of the new technology has to do in finding how our brain works as well as the human body. There are already in place systems for predicting human behavior used for crime prevention. New information from quantum mechanics and quantum physics are challenging known laws of physics, and even biology has a new line of investigation called epigenetics, which is the study of the cell and its behavior in relation to its environment. Our body is composed of trillions of cells, with each one of them influenced by its individual as well as for the general environment. The human body contains over 70% water with the rest being minerals. We know that the moon produces high and low tides of rivers and oceans. We are referring to immense masses of water compared to our human body. Logic says that the water contained in the human body will get impacted similarly to the rest of the water. In the medical field, it is known that with full moon, people with some psychological disorder are affected more than the rest, and police and insurance companies know that during full moons periods, there is an increase in traffic accidents. Therefore, even if this is known, the correlation between these two things is not recognized at the scientific level, when astrology can define without a doubt what person could be more affected by the moon cycle depending on the aspects of the natal chart. In agriculture, the moon cycle rules the different activities related to the planting or harvesting of crops. Can this surprise anyone? Going back to the human body, when we talk about the environment of the cell, we are not just talking about the immediate surroundings, but also all the different frequencies and energies that our body is exposed to, from the sun rays, electronic devices, loud noises, temperature variations, extreme temperatures, etc. Our body, besides being composed by water and other minerals, runs on electricity. Each cell has the mechanism to charge something like an electric battery based on a chemical reaction, which in essence the sum of them provides the energy to run our different systems, which we can define as our mechanical systems: circulatory, digestive, excretory, endocrine, integumentary, exocrine, immune, muscular, nervous, renal, reproductive, respiratory, skeletal and hematopoietic. Besides our mechanical systems, we have our central processing unit known as our brain, which runs based on automatic programming for managing all the systems mentioned before, in addition to our psyche, which runs based on programs loaded from our gestation period and programs that keep getting updated every day of our lives. The composition of our bodies is very well defined in our natal chart. It is valid to say that our natal chart is our DNA from astrology's point of view. The natal chart defines our body characteristics, as well as our weak and strong physical areas of our body, even if the person is prone to any mental instability at one point in time in their life. There has been work done comparing psychological and astrological evaluations that coincide in the results, but this information is kept between the professional and the astrologer. Professionals are afraid to be ridiculed or singled out from other colleagues, with the implications this will have. Besides, this will challenge the entire industry, as epigenetics is challenging biology, and quantum physics and quantum mechanics are challenging the traditional approach. The first aspect to understand, which is not taught at school, is that we live in an environment, universe, that it is ruled by cycles. Taking our body as a starting point, there are infinite cycles outside our body as they are infinite cycles within, and all of them work based some predetermined patterns and conditions, and there are others, then can be changed depending on our actions. Even as yogis in India can stop and start their heart at will, and monks in Tibet will not freeze while meditating in the open under freezing temperatures, for the rest of common day people, we can hardly interfere on the mechanical systems, but we can influence our free will cycles if we know when they happen. Astrology measures the energies that each planet generates against our natal chart. The energy of the planets is similar for everyone, but the natal chart is the other important part in order to understand how this energy will influence each individual in particular. The only way to understand how the planetary movement can influence our life is by doing a personal analysis starting from the natal chart. The information provided by astrology will point to the energy cycle active for any given moment, but our actions will determine their materialization. The energy of the planets at any given time will have some result in our body, both in our behavior, psyche, as well as on the functioning of the basic systems. Since each aspect and combination between our natal chart and the position of the planets generates certain type of energy, expansion and restriction, similar to positive and negative in different combinations and grades depending the moment. The same way we know the position of any planet for the past or the future, the same way astrology knows the energetic cycle that each person is transiting at any given time. Just as an additional piece of information for understanding how our environment influences us, including planets, consider a new disease called DHS, electronic hypersensitivity syndrome, which can be produced by Wi-Fi frequencies, cell phone towers and other devices that generate low-frequency waves. Also, studies carried out by renowned universities concluded that certain music and melodies can influence our brain and our mood just by listening to them. This has been known since the time of the Egyptians, who used healing techniques with sounds. In conclusion, we should incorporate in the evaluation of our personal well-being the environment that surrounds us, and for those who are just entering the subject of astrology, understand that this millenary science contains a knowledge that we have just begun to understand its internal functioning, thanks to the advancement of technology.